Question: what is the wisdom behind the establishment of the four schools of thought, madhhabs? Answer: the question regarding madhhabs is often asked, and very frequently by non-believers, as a kind of dialectical trick, only to cloud people's minds. They want to make people doubt by asking, there is only one truth, so how can there be multiple madhhabs? In reality, it is not as if four madhhabs were intentionally established. A madhhab simply means a path that is followed. It means a method. In understanding religion, in grasping Shariah, in looking at the life of the Prophet in its social aspects, in matters of worship, and in matters of creed, there are interpretations and expositions. This gives rise to a school or madhhab. The founders of madhhabs did not strive to establish a madhhab. For example, the first of them, Abu Hanifa, our madhhab imam, was born in the year 80 of the Hijra and passed away in the year 150 of the Hijra. It is said he met only one or two companions. Perhaps what Abu Hanifa did was gather the issues he learned from the companions and from the great Tabi regarding the Prophet's states, manners, and behaviors. Abu Hanifa was raised in Kufa. Kufa had its own environment and prevailing thoughts. Naturally, Abu Hanifa grew up in that environment. He referred to Hadiths and Sunnah, and local customs influenced him. In detail, for example, he did not raise his hands in every unit of prayer, while al-Shafi'i did. For instance, when blood came out, al-Shafi'i ruled that ablution was not broken. Abu Hanifa said it was broken. I will explain these differences. Abu Hanifa compiled his understandings into a book. He never said, I am establishing a madhhab. He merely said, these are the details derived from Sunnah and Hadith. Later, Imam Malik appeared. He, too, in the context of his own environment, assessed issues in detail based on the people he consulted and the culture he received. Although there were small differences, he compiled his own work, the great book Al-Muwatta, which also contained his fatwas. His student, Imam al-Shafi'i, although closely following Imam Malik, in many issues felt that Malik's understanding was incorrect. Interestingly, Imam al-Shafi'i was a more brilliant person than Imam Malik. When he began teaching, people listened to him with excitement. One of those who had studied with Imam Malik stood up in zeal and said, "O Allah, take this man's life, otherwise he will destroy Imam Malik's madhhab." Imam al-Shafi'i did not have the desire to establish a madhhab. With respect to the great imams before him, in some matters he felt that their understanding of the details was incorrect, so he presented the correct understanding in his book. The title of his compilation was meaning the mother, a reference book to be consulted in fiqh. Later, Imam Ahmed ibn Hanbal came. He referred all issues to hadith and compiled al-Musnad, containing 40,000 hadiths, selected from over 1,000,000 hadiths. He, too, did not intend to create a madhhab. He expressed his own understanding of the hadiths and Quranic verses. Those who followed him formed a madhhab. Therefore, we should understand this: none of the imams established a madhhab with a political or party-like intention. They merely wrote their understandings in books. There is no difference in the methodology, usul, only in details, tafarru'at. People found some interpretations more appealing, and naturally gathered around those. Among the imams themselves, there was no real opposition. For example, Abu Hanifa prayed at the Azamiyya Mosque in Baghdad. When Imam al-Shafi'i came, he did not perform qanut in the morning prayer because he felt shy to oppose Abu Hanifa. Among the imams themselves, matters were so serious yet full of love. Madhhabs should be understood in this way. There is great mercy in this. Why mercy? It is impossible for a single person to live the entire life of the Prophet. Allah granted the madhhab imams inspiration. Each of them appeared in history with one piece of the picture. Had every imam's viewpoint been obligatory for people to live by, it would have created difficulty. That is why, even if a hadith is weak, the Prophet said, "The differences of my ummah are a mercy." Now, regarding the differences in understanding among the imams, let me explain. For example, Imam al-Shafi'i rules that when blood comes out of the body, ablution is not broken, but if a man touches the hand of a woman whose marriage is valid, ablution is broken. Abu Hanifa rules the opposite. Blood coming out of the body does break ablution, but touching a woman's hand does not. This is a clear difference. But it is based on the deeper understanding of the issue. Imam al-Shafi'i reasoned, the companions fought alongside the Prophet and were often wounded. Their swords and bodies were bloody, and they prayed with that blood on them in Allah's presence. Thus, blood coming out of the body did not break ablution. If it did, the Prophet would have warned them. Abu Hanifa's followers, however, had not witnessed this, so they said, "You are correct, Imam, but this applies only in war. Otherwise, one must wash after blood." Another subtle example, an issue is brought to Abu Hanifa regarding ablution. The Prophet had a pimple on his face while ablution was performed. Hazrat Aisha removed the pimple with her clean hand, scratching his eye. The Prophet then performed ablution again. This issue was presented to the Imam. Abu Hanifa said ablution should be renewed. Imam al-Shafi'i said, no, because it involved the woman's hand, a veil may have come between the servant and thinking of Allah. You see, it is a single issue, but the different understanding of it led the Imams to different rulings. Followers aligned with the understanding they found compelling. All the differences in madhhabs are in such details. It is so harmonious that it is a mercy. By Allah's grace, we are saved in whichever aspect we practice.